let's interpret change with percents and talk about exactly how these problems work and look. So first things first, let's just jump right in. My salary was $40,000 last year and $48,000 this year. Interpret my change in salary using percents. This is an example using static numbers, right? So we have absolute numbers. I don't know how else you would talk about them. But anyway, because of the way this question is asked, right, you could answer this a lot of different ways if it's free response. But because we are asking about interpret, we want this to be like a sentence explaining. So we're going to be looking for multiple choice here. And it says using percents. So let's go ahead, start these by finding relative change, changing to a percent, and then using that percent in the multiple choice. Okay, so remember, we're dealing with like final value minus the initial value, absolute value of that over the initial value. So my final value is 48,000. So 48,000 minus 40,000 divided by the initial of 40,000. We're using absolute value because when you talk about these, right, you never say my salary increased plus 5,000. That positive or that negative, we don't talk about that. Or I took a $5 pay cut to take this job. You didn't say a minus $5 pay cut. So we don't throw that positive or negative in front. So absolute value, and it's all the same. We talk about increase or decrease as our positive negative. So I end up with the absolute value of 8,000 over 40, which is just 8,000 over 40,000, which is 0.2. If we multiply that by 100, we get 20%. Now, that's a numerical answer. If it was just like, tell me the percent change, that's the answer. But it says interpret. So when you're looking at multiple choice questions, this is the correct answer of my salary increased 20% from last year to this year. Now, the detractors could change increase to decrease. The detractor could have divided by 48,000. That would give you a different percent, increase, decrease, and then you have some good detractors besides. But this is the big thing, and this is why it needs to be multiple choice, because we're looking for the sentence that explains what does this mean. All right, now, what happens if we're using percents? Right, so that last one, we had absolute values. Now we're using percent values. So I went on a road trip. When I started, the oil life of my car was at 86%. When I finished, my oil life was at 78. Interpret the change. Again, with interpret, we want the sentence, therefore, multiple choice question. So again, we're doing the final absolute value of the final minus the initial divided by the initial. So here, the negative is going to go away. We're left with 0.93 ... Let's multiply by 100 and say this is 9.3%. So again, you could have one of my oil life increase 9.3. There's a detractor, but we would say, right, so interpreting, what does this 9.3% mean? During my road trip, and these are not exact sentences, right? You can word these however you want. During my road trip, my oil life, or I should say the oil life in my car decreased 9.3%. So the big thing here is the percent. We need that to be correct. And we need the increase or decrease. We know that it started at 86, went to 78. That's why we know it's a decrease. So when you're thinking about detractors, there probably is going to be 2 that are decreased, 2 that are increased, or maybe 3 decrease, 1 increase, whatever. But you want to have a mix of same percents, different increase, decrease, and then again, we could divide by the other value, which would give us a different percentage, increase, decrease, and there's all your values. Hope that helps.